So Software Republic is an ecosystem of open innovation that is in a European consortium working towards developing a more secure, smarter mobility, more sustainable and more sovereign. This is a smart consortium with 7 permanent members, including Renault, Thales, where I come from, and then also Microelectronics, Dassault Systems, JC Deco, and Orange. Those are the permanent members, and we like to present this ecosystem as a double incubator because both we're going to incubate projects which will always be, as we say, 3 or more partners, who are projects that are supposed to come to market very quickly. We just don't do innovation per se, but these are concretely rolled out projects. So that was the project incubator. But we also have a startup incubator because we involved startups. We have startup challenges to involve them in the Software Republic projects and work hand in hand with them. I'd like to add also that we don't only have startups as partners. As we go along, we will work also with universities, the academics. We have a talent academy within Software Republic. We'll be able to work with other industrial partners and the authorities. This is an ecosystem that allows us to co-develop and join forces, we as the 7 permanent members plus the other partners, and innovate more quickly than with the traditional cycle. And we are really open. If you have needs for innovation as part of mobility, we are there to help you. I go further. The projects that we select with the Software Republic are selected for their innovative character, providing technological and business model innovation, but also for the concrete value that they bring to our clients' projects. So create value and organize. It's organized around 3 main themes: the mobility and territory, where we'll have, for example, we've developed a number of offers for observatory of mobility for territories based on the data collected by Renault vehicles and other platforms from Orange and others. We've also developed in this stream projects about B2X, for example, for securing cyclists in the city of Bordeaux. And the other main theme is energy. We'll think about EVs, but also infrastructures for recharging, grid recharging stations. For example, we have co-developed with Orange, ST and Thales, and the power box that is sold with the new Renault R5, which is the first charging station that goes both ways, which can send back energy to the grid when it is stored by the vehicle, thus reducing the costs of recharging the vehicle. The other stream is the connected car, and the project we're presenting today is part of that stream. And we've also developed some virtual sensor solutions for the health certificate of vehicles, or where the driver's smartphone is going to help us check, for example, for snoozing or other aspects of the vehicle. On this connected car stream, I think that it goes without saying, if you know the automotive world, it is undergoing a significant transformation with a lot of software, more and more software in the vehicles, just not for the pleasure of making it more complex, but to add comfort and safety to everyone in and outside the vehicle. To also provide new capabilities with the car sharing, for example. And it is a major digital revolution that is affecting the automotive industry. But this is a cyber forum, so also what comes with it is increased cyber risks. Cybersecurity for an automaker is not even an option, it's regulated. And as part of this, with the Software Republic, we have co-developed a solution that goes even beyond the regulatory demands to have trust in connected vehicles.
Je vais donc vous laisser, Patrick, vous expliquer un petit peu plus ce qu'il y a dans ce projet Detect and Respond.
So Patrick will take the floor now to explain what's included in the Detect and Respond projects. Yes, good afternoon, everyone. So within the Software Republic, one of the challenges is cybersecurity for all solutions and services that we can offer. And we have decided quite early on to associate with Thales and one of its subsidiaries to have complementarity of skills between Renault for the onboard electronic architecture, Thales and Cisco for the cybersecurity and onboard and artificial intelligence, to provide a solution that is dedicated to cars to monitor the cyber attacks on vehicles, supported by a scenario dedicated to the automotive sectors with artificial intelligence models dedicated to the automotive industry with the constraints of resources in vehicles. This is a sovereign solution. It will apply to the future Renault architectures called software-defined vehicles, coming by mid-26. The next slide, please. So, if we get into the description of the solution, it is really a solution that is an end-to-end solution, starting from on the right, from the study of attack scenarios dedicated to cars, and on the onboard part, we'll have a detection module that is on board that implements some probes on the calculators in the most exposed part of the vehicle. And also in the detection module, you can define some pre-processing features for the AutoSAR standard that is used in the industry, and also a qualification of these logs and the filtering so that we only get the most relevant detection for the offboard. And it is key for us because with this system, it allows us to master the bandwidth between the vehicles and the offboard. So on the right here, you have a offboard platform to process and analyze the data with two types of processing, one based on the known data scenario and a processing based on our AI, mainly detection of abnormal behaviors. And when a cyber attack is qualified, we can provide a chain of reactions that goes up to the calculator to put it into safe mode. So those were, in a few words, the principles of this solution. Another important element, this solution is upgradable over time, so we don't stop to starting the car, but we also improve the solution as the new attacks are studied. And more important, it's been worked on with the Ampere subsidiary for EVs for Renault, and we've taken into account the constraints of architecture, onboard architecture, to implement it into our vehicles. So that was a short presentation of this solution. I have a short question, maybe. Can this solution be used for other things than electric vehicles? Well, yes, of course. For automakers, the main benefit is that it's been actually confronted to the integration inside the vehicle. But whether you talk about the end-to-end approach, which starts from attack scenarios down to the sensors themselves and the transmission, this can be transposed to other types of environments, other connected objects, of course. One of the next domain in which we would like to develop this is, for example, the charging stations, which are in connection with mobility and the vehicles, and which are also other vectors of attack on the charging station or also to the car via the station. So IDSS and also the AI mode engines can also be applied to other types of vehicles and other types of connected objects. We have a question? So we're starting questions from SNCF. Behind services here, the triggering of to put the CO in safe mode, is that manual or can it be into an IPS? It is manual as we speak, so we provide the reaction channel. To really implement the reaction, you need to master the onboard architecture. So just support and consultancy from what we implemented at Renault, but over time we are thinking about onboard solution, which remains for the moment some pre-development stage. There's a whole pre-processing of the advert.
D'autres questions dans la salle?
Do we have more questions in the room? Yes. Okay, let me just get to you.
Du coup, Mathieu Pichon pour IDEMIA, je suis responsable CSERT.
Mathieu Pichon, I have two short questions. The first one is, what has pushed you to develop that? And the second question is that, do you make your own penetration tests on your solution? Well, what has pushed us to develop this? Well, actually, we realized that on the market there was fragmented offers. And why did we go for co-development? It's because we want to gather people who know the onboard architecture, and only the automaker can do it with cyber skills like that of Thales. So we had no choice but to go into co-development. That is why it took time, and make sure that we speak the same language to derive from IT methodology with the specifics of architectures. That was for your first question. Now, what was your second question? About the pen tests. Well, as we speak, we use hackers to pen test our vehicles. We are also studying other formats like communities of hackers, for example, and we are also thinking about going for like what Tesla does with the challenges, and we are looking into the hacking capacity, which is key to feed our detection tools and train the AI engines. So further questions?
Combien de temps, du coup, vous disiez qu'il fallait du temps pour les équipes?
Du temps, pardon, pour faire ça. Alors, on a lancé le projet.
So we launched that in early 22. So there was about a year to 2 years of development. We are in the integration of vehicles. It takes about a year and a half for the validation of vehicles. So to validate the whole system, it's going to take us till mid-26. So we have time for questions, if you so wish.
Bonjour, je voulais savoir qu'est-ce qui vous distingue de vos principaux concurrents asiatiques?
So what makes you different from your Asian competitors and the Chinese or Japanese makers?
Sur les véhicules.
Because they've already thought about the connection. What makes it there's a French competitive edge compared with the market? That's a great transition, actually. For Toyota, I haven't looked into Toyota's solution. We've looked into the Chinese competitors' solutions. What makes us stand out is the sovereignty of it, because our Chinese competitors actually developed the same thing. If we only talk about the Chinese automakers. So there is a technical distinction, but yes, so it's not more complex. I'm going to be talking.
Tout ce qu'on en a vu aussi du marché, enfin il y a pas mal, comme disait Patrick.
So as Patrick said, it's quite fragmented. So it's not easy for an automaker to find an end-to-end approach with the same partner who is going to go from the start of the cycle based on the cyber concepts connected to this automaker with its own architecture to give these starting specs with the scenarios we want to cover.
En redescendant le cycle,
If we go down, we have the integration of our
avec le support
onboard bricks.
on a la partie band test.
We also have the band test and pen tests.
On entraîne notre moteur
We are training our AI engine with this and the data that are collected elsewhere. And we help with certification, of course, with the we don't stop at the end of the cycle. We have a long-term approach. So it's not just a one-shot. It's really a long-term support on as many years as the customers wish with the Intel freight, because they always have some new tests, and the AI engine will have recognized from the data. We'll have some regular upgrade once or several times a year to make sure that the client is always at the top of the technology. This is not something that is very popular at the moment. You'll have, for example, solutions that are only bricks on boards. Once it's delivered, you get sorted with it. We've got nothing to do with it. So we've also implemented a chain of reaction and also dynamic reconfiguration of the bricks on board. So depending on when you have a suspicion of an attack, then we can reconfigure our filter, the one that Patrick talked about, to say, give me momentarily more information so I can confirm this is an attack. If it's not one, then we go down to the normal filter. Otherwise, we can go deeper, dig deeper, to really have a dynamic approach during the life cycle of the vehicle, making the SOC much SOC works much easier. Everything is pre-processed, qualified, documented. So now we have to reconfigure, check, and if it's checked, I have my chain of reaction afterwards. So it is that kind of approach, the holistic, end-to-end, not only on-board approach that adds a service, service consulting, sub-analysis, and regular work. This 360 vision is something that we have never found of the market before. So, if I understood you well, you're going to optimize on the transparency and the quality of the service. Yes, exactly that. So it is more in that sector that you stand out from the crowd, or the Asian market. No, it's not just a product or just solution, it is a set, yes. Yes, it's true that when you mentioned China, but there was also Japan, because there's some research in Japan, but also South Korea, who have completely developed the solutions for automated vehicles. And I wanted to understand what was the edge, what make it a French product that we offer is different from what you can find elsewhere, and especially more secure, because that's the idea, that's transparently. So the sovereign aspect for all the partners, we see what's happening today. So without supply from another geography could disappear, to have a reassurance over the long term could be good. Yes, and it could also be interesting to have a European partnership with Germany or UK who have been working on this. We've been thinking about it actually. So the solution will be even more higher or better performing. We'll be able to anonymize the attack data among the various automakers. So we're thinking about it on European level. So French dimension that is widening to European level. That's our ambition, yes. Do we have more questions? Yes.
Deux questions sur le pré-traitement bord.
I have two questions about the onboard pre-processing and the fact that we can have the dynamic IDS to reconfigure the onboard aspects. What has been the strategy to have the first filtering rules, whether it's like business architecture from Renault, or was it from Thales and the cyber angle, or a mixture of the two, and how
adaptez
How do you adapt
dans le temps cette
over
configuration?
time for this configuration? That was my first question. And the second question is that in link with that, beyond the automotive industry, are you thinking of to widening it to mobility in
Sur
general?
la première question, c'est effectivement un savant mélange des deux.
So it's a mixture of the two, yes. To answer your question, you have some cyber teams that have been thinking about the attack scenarios and implement the way of the onboard detection, and then the architecture teams that explain what's feasible. So we need the two skills around the table and for having exchange with people from SNCF. You have the same issue in the trains. There's always a debate between the SOC, who would like to have as much information possible, and then people say that there are some constraints for feasibility.
Et ça prend du temps parce qu'il faut que les gens se comprennent de part et d'autre et chacun.
Anyway, this takes time because we need to understand. Now, for the application to other verticals, we have been thinking about the charging stations, the home charging stations, to some cities that could be interested. And we also exchanged with the rolling stock manufacturers, which had the same issues for the future trains to come. But since we have 7 to 10 year development cycles, what do we do with the current stock of rolling stock at the moment from SNCF? So we have to find about solutions that are as little intrusive as possible, because it's difficult to modify a network. But yes, we think that this approach is going to be found in many systems. I'm thinking about ships, where the issues are the same. Limited resources on board, limiting the bandwidth. So we need some onboard processing and complementary analysis off board.
D'autres questions? Je pense que nous avons fait le tour. Vous avez répondu.
So I think you've answered all the questions. Thank you, gentlemen, and we can give you a round of applause.